Hello there YouTube, Chris here from Bluegrass Films, and today I'm going to be doing an unboxing of the ASrock 970 Extreme 4 motherboard, the KingFAIL 730 watt power supply, and I'm going to be installing both of those along with my 4 gigabytes of G-Skill RAM and my AMD Phenom II X4 955 Black Edition CPU. All that's going into my Cooler Master HAF 912 case, and today I'm going to show you all that stuff. Alright, we're going to go and install the CPU here. And in case you haven't seen how that's done before, you probably have. There's a lot of videos about that, but here's how we're going to do it. On AMD CPUs, you lift this little lever up here. They use a zero insertion force socket, so you just drop it in. Now, come in and get a close look at this. I don't know if you probably can't make it out on this camera, but right here there's a little arrow on that. A little arrow right there. And here on the CPU, there's a little gold arrow too. And what you do is you just line up these little arrows here, like that. And that's it. CPU is installed. Just give it, there we go. Make sure everything's nice and good. And it's in. That is the CPU. Let me double check and make sure here. I don't want to, yeah. Okay. Yep, that's the little arrow. And that's it. And now you just take this here, and that is it. Your CPU is installed. Alright, now we're going to install the heatsink and fan that came with this processor. See, it's got this plastic covering on here so that you can't touch the thermal paste on the bottom. So, go ahead and remove this. And here's the header, the connector for the fan, the CPU fan. And on this motherboard, CPU fan connects right here. It's a 4-pin connection right here, so I'm going to install this like so that the, oh, come here, it's hard to handle here, so that the fan can plug in right here, and I can wire tie this out of the way. Otherwise I'd have to, I don't know if I could run it all the way around the back side of it. So this may be the only way you can install it. And the phone's ringing, I don't care. Let's see if I can get this on here. Oh, make sure the latch is undone first. And then latch it under here. Okay, so it took some finagling, but I finally was able to get it on there. And now you just, well, doesn't seem to want to go for some reason. There we go. It takes some force. I don't know if it's just the motherboard or what, but it takes some force to get it on there. Alright, now that we got the CPU cooler finally installed there, make sure that's on nice and good. Yeah, it's on there. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and install or hook up the CPU fan, and it only goes on one way. You can see the little, it's marked right here, CPU fan, so camera won't show up on the camera, but and that's that. And I will wire tie this up to make it look a little neater afterwards. So now that we got the processor installed, I'm going and put in my G-Skill Ripjaws RAM. I got 4 gigabytes here. Let's see. The model number is F3-12800CL9D-4GBRL, and let's see, it's DDR3 1600, and as I said, it's 4 gigabytes worth. So first I'm going to review the manual and see exactly which slots the RAM plugs into, and we'll install it. Alright, after consulting the manual, anybody who's ever done this before probably knows, but if you've got when you have dual channel memory, you put them in the same color slots. So if you're only putting in 2 sticks of RAM like I am, you put them in the 2 blue slots first on this one, and if I want to add more later, I'll put in the 2 white slots there. Earlier when I said that I thought this motherboard can handle 12 gigabytes of memory max, it's actually 32. I was way off. So 32 though, that's nice. I can really go up there if I want. So now I'll go and install this. There's a little slot here in the middle if you've never installed RAM before, but there's a little slot here and a little thing in there, so you can only put this in one way. Always make sure these little lever things are open before you put the RAM in, and then you just go, push this back a bit there, and that's it. That's the first one, and here goes number 2. In case you can't tell, I've never actually done this before. This is my first computer build, but I've watched a lot of tutorials on it, so I'd like to think I have an idea of what I'm doing. Hopefully I do anyway. If not, we'll find out soon enough. Okay. Here's a little tip. If you're going to be doing work on a motherboard, computer, stuff like that, where you're going to be using a screwdriver, get one of these. I got this off eBay for about $2. It's a magnetizer demagnetizer, and you run your tool through one side of it here, it magnetizes it, through the other side demagnetizes it, and it really works. Trust me, it really does work. And you have to have a magnetic screwdriver to do this kind of work, installing motherboards and processors, stuff like that, because the screwdriver has to be able to hold on to the screw by itself. So just make sure it's good and magnetized. Yeah, magnetizer, demagnetizer, $2 at eBay or your local hardware store, and it's really a lifesaver. Alright, here's my Cooler Master half 912 case. I've already installed the optical drive. I don't know if you can see it. I got the optical drive and the card reader installed. I accidentally bought well, I didn't think about this. It wasn't an accident. I bought an IDE optical drive with an IDE interface on it, and the motherboard is a brand new one, and very few brand new motherboards have IDE interfaces. So I had to get this little adapter, this ugly adapter thing to put on there. So when you're doing your build, make sure your optical drive has a SATA interface, SATA, serial ATA, and you won't have to use one of these ugly adapters. I may end up switching out with the optical drive in my other computer because it is a SATA drive, just so I don't have to use that ugly interface. I'm not even sure that interface will work, but we'll find out. I've added a Cooler Master MegaFlow 200mm fan to the front for intake. It's a red LED fan, 200mm. Up top I have another one. Same thing, Cooler Master MegaFlow 200, also red LED, that's for exhaust. And also for exhaust, I have a Logitech 120mm red LED fan. Yeah, this sucker's gonna glow. And I've already removed the correct slots for the graphics card, TV tuner, and Wi-Fi card. I've already installed the standoffs for the motherboard in the correct location. So, and here's where the power supply will go. So, now we'll go ahead and start installing the motherboard. Okay, now I'm going to install the input-output shield. Now be careful when you're getting this thing out, because the metal on here is kind of sharp and it can cut you if you're not careful. So always check to see which way this goes in first. I mean, that kind of sounds like obvious, something obvious, but you know, on most motherboards, the keyboard and mouse are at the top, and the audio is down by the expansion slots, and that's the case with mine here. So now, oops, I'm going to sit back a little bit. I'm going to install this input-output shield here in the case. It should just pop right in. Make sure that's... Yep. That's it, right there, it's in. There's the input-output shield. And now the case is ready to have the motherboard installed in it. Alright, now it's time to install the motherboard. When you install it, you can go ahead and pick it up by the CPU cooler. And if you see, I installed all of these little standoffs already. And the great thing about Cooler Master cases is these two standoffs right here have little lips on them so that the motherboard, let me get these wires out of the way here, so that the motherboard fits right on top of there. There's no guesswork. It's either on or it isn't. And now, I'll move that just out of the way here. See, that stupid adapter thing. Get a SATA optical drive, because you don't want to be stuck using one of those. And now, you gotta make sure that none of these none of your input-output ports get blocked here. Let's see. Oh boy, this takes some finagling here. And it's in right there. I'm going to grab a little flashlight here, and I need a work light over here, but let's see. Alright, well, there's 3 in place, another 3 in place, and that's the last of them. Now I need to make sure that your, get down here and close in, input-output holes are not getting blocked by any of those little prong things, which are used for ground. Nope, everything looks good. It's not exactly the input-output shield doesn't perfectly match the motherboard, but everything will fit fine. It should anyway. And ready. Now it's time to start installing the screws. Now, here's an interesting thing I did here. I got all my screws in these. I set the case down here with this fan hole here, and I can put all the screws in there, so all my screws are right where I need them when I need them. And now, with my magnetic screwdriver, I can just go ahead and install all of these. Don't want to over tighten them, but you want a good tight fit because they are electrical ground connections for the motherboard. So you want to make sure you have a good ground. I don't know if there's a particular technique to screwing in the motherboard screws, like the way, you know, like you change a tire, you know, alternating different holes, but I've never heard of a technique like that, so I'm just, yeah, let me tighten that down a little more. So I'm just going in order here on my way down the board. Thought about putting the power supply in first. I'm glad I didn't. With all the other junk I got in here already, it would have been a real mess. So put your motherboard in. Install your fans first, then put in your motherboard, and then put in your power supply. Some people use electric screwdrivers, battery-powered screwdrivers for this, but I wouldn't trust it because it could over-torque and strip out the fitting, and then you're really in trouble then. Hand tightening, it takes a little longer, a little more effort, but at least you know when you have a good fit and when it's time to stop turning. Last one in. Alrighty. Now it's time to start putting in the cards, and this will start off with the graphics card. This is a Visiontek Radeon HD 4670 card. Got it for about 50 bucks, cheap card, but it's something good to start off with, and I'm going to upgrade to a series card in the future, but this is what I could afford at the moment, and not a bad little card. It's got 1 gigabyte of memory. Let's see, let's go ahead and install. See, it installs like this. Right. Is that one? Oh, there we go. I never seen that before, but yeah, this little thing opens like this, slides back there, and you can lock it in place. There you go. Graphics card is in. You get a screw. Go ahead and tighten the tighten the expansion card slot. Alrighty. And let's see. Next, go ahead and put in our Wi-Fi card here. My Wi-Fi card here. It's a Linksys WMP600N dual band PCI Wi-Fi adapter. It'll do 802.11 A, B, G, and N, 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. So nice little card there. Dual antennas. And let's see, it installs in a PCI slot. So carefully. And there's that. Finally, here I have an AVer media M791, I believe is the model number. analog digital TV tuner. It has both analog ATSC, or not analog NTSC and digital ATSC inputs, and that way I can connect my cable to the analog and a digital TV to the digital, because there's a lot of digital channels that our local cable company doesn't carry. Thank you very much, Insight. Has an S-video output for TV connection, has left and right audio for stereo audio. Go ahead and plug this in. It uses a PCI Express X1 slot, and just goes in like, there we go. Alright. And that, as they say, is that. And you see there's all of this stuff in here. Yeah, it's looking good, isn't it? Alright, next we'll install the power supply, but I'll set the case up right to do that. Alright, well, I got the power supply hooked up to the motherboard and the CPU and the optical drive. I don't have a hard drive yet or an operating system, but I'm going to start it up and see if the motherboard posts and make sure all the stuff's in working order. What the fuck?
We're following a developing story this morning out of West Louisville. One is dead, another is in critical condition following an explosion.
It's very quiet. Give me the camera. Listen how quiet that is. It's weird. I hope there's nothing wrong with the graphics card.